The February 9th, 2023 meeting of the Bismarck Parking Authority. My name is Jim Christensen. I chair the authority. I see that we have a quorum present, or I'll declare a quorum present. Call the meeting to order. First item of business would be to consider the minutes from the meeting of January 12th. Everybody have a chance to look at the minutes? Anybody have any questions, comments, corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Item 2 on your agenda is the financials for January. And management, Jeremy, is there anything you'd like to point out or bring to our attention?
Mr. Chairman, just a couple items to point out for this is the first month of January financials for 2023. And we're on track for a budget already for income side of items, which is good. And on the expense side of things, we knew we had a few upfront larger expenses that would be posting here to January to include snow removal for the lot, snow hauling out of our 2 surface lots, and of course our insurance bill that came due as well. Also, on the repairs and maintenance side of items, we did have a couple larger items to note. We had some plumbing repairs on some water valves in the by the batch space that were related to the main water shutoffs, and so that was roughly about $1,500 for some repairs there. We had some boiler and compressor issues that had come up, and H.A. Thompson had handled that for us for $2,300. And then we had a cracked window glass actually in the upper part of the parkade in one of the commercial tenant suites, so that was $2,900 to replace that window pane. And our reserve account is, we actually have an updated amount that's different than what was in your packets. We're at $1,369,413.
Questions of Jeremy? Anybody questions on the financials? No questions?
Quick question, Jeremy. What is current operating expense estimate revenue of like $7,400?
Yep, great question. So we separate out the CAM charges, the common area maintenance part of the rent for the commercial tenants, and so that is reflected in that separate line item.
Other questions? Hearing none, we entertain a motion to approve the financials.
I move to approve.
Moved by Josh. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Jake. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sue.
Josh?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Jake? Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 3 on the agenda is to review commercial broker bids for listing the former Thrifty White space at the Parkade building. And if you recall at the last meeting, I think Jeremy brought us up to date on an RFP he'd put together, but it's since gone out and we've got responses. Go ahead,
Yep.
Jeremy.
So yeah, it was an invitation to bid to local commercial brokers, and we had put that out to 5 of commercial brokers locally: Daniel Companies, CRA, Rise Property Brokers, Aspen Group, and Doomlands. We had received 3 back. The 3 received were from CRA, Rise Property Brokers, and Aspen Group. And in your packet, I did a bid tabulation of what they're proposing for lease commission rate, just a snapshot of the market rate recommendation with given current market rates, and then the marketing plan on how they are proposing to get the word out to be able to rent the space. So from management's perspective, we want to stay neutral on this because we have working relationships with all 3 entities. So it'd be for the board to decide, I guess, who would be the best candidate to market the space.
Did any of the 3 that submitted, did any of those stand out above the others in your perspective?
There wasn't any glaring differences. Even the commission rates were all within 1 point of or half a point of each other.
Okay. Questions? Todd?
So Jeremy, question would be, with the expiring lease that they had, what were they paying per square foot, and how do these estimates that the brokers are
Yep,
giving
so
us?
Thrifty White, with their expiring lease, they were actually below the market rates that are being proposed because they had a longer-term lease in that regard. So we're trying to get it back up to a market rate. I mean, there is some fit-up work that would likely have to be done depending on the type of commercial tenant that would, depending on the type of business, I guess, that would take the place. Being as it was, the shell that was there was obviously for a pharmacy before, so they have a decking with area where they had their back office and point of sale areas and where they had their stock and inventory and things like that. So there may be some renovation that would have to be done.
And so with that being said, do we take care of the leasehold improvements and include it in the lease? Or does the tenant, are they responsible for that? How have we done that in the past?
So typically that would be part of the negotiation as part of a lease negotiation term.
Other questions or comments? What are your wishes here today? And we have a representative of one of the three brokers here, if you have any questions. John Lee is here from CRA. I don't have any particular bias. I am a commercial realtor myself and obviously didn't bid on this, and I have relations with all of the above as well. They're all good. So we would like to get this going. Get it advertised.
Could Mr. Lee come up to the podium?
Sure, he's here. John, you're more than welcome.
All right.
John, what is the market out there for this type of property in the downtown? I know you're relatively new in this, but what are you
Yeah.
guys seeing?
So we did a roundtable with the brokers. Kristen and Kyle would both be involved in this project. Just talking it through, the first thing you see are maybe some of the challenges you have with that space, but we also talked about the possibilities, which we're excited about. We would think it would fall in that 8 to 10 triple net range. Those markets are always fluctuating. A lot of it would have to do with, is it a tenant we see long term, and we would make recommendations, to you on that. Like, this is a good one that could be around for a while. But I think that's what we had pinpointed. We'd be looking probably closer to that 10 triple net.
Other questions of John while we got him? Anybody? Okay, thanks, John.
Thank you.
Kate, do you have any input on vacancies downtown or no? Anything on this? Okay. Okay. So, again, I would ask for what your wishes might be. Be nice if we could pick one. So nobody has a recommendation. We could put the three in a hat and draw one out. Be fine with that. Janelle, can we do that?
I will make a recommendation that we go with CRA. I think the fact that they have somebody here is important,
Okay,
and I would make that recommendation.
all right, is there a second? You want to second that one?
I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion, it's been moved and seconded that we select CRA to represent this space.
I just have some thoughts on the information that was provided. I think I want to thank everybody for the amount of work that was put into these proposals. I know putting this information together, it takes time and energy to put these proposals together, so I appreciate everyone that had submitted. We're really splitting hairs on who we pick here, but I thought the information provided was very thorough and professional, and all three of these firms are well respected in the marketplace, so thanks for submitting your proposals.
Good observation, totally agree. Very professional. Other comments or discussion before we call the roll? Hearing none, call the roll, please, Sue.
Josh,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes.
Jake,
Yes.
Jim.
Yes, that motion carries, thank you. All right, we're up to item, where'd my agenda go? Oh, there it is, right in front of me. Other business already, wow. Kate, you want to make an appearance now, or not? Give us the downtowners update.
I think,
The busiest gal in showbiz in Bismarck
Yeah, here
right
you
now
go.
with the legislative session.
my house is kind of like Superman's phone booth. I just come in and like change clothes and then leave again. And Mr. Chairman, Kate Herzog with the Downtowners Association, I did want to just give you a heads up on two bills that we're following and have supported. And I think we talked about the first one last meeting. House Bill 1266 is the Renaissance Zone Reinstatement Bill. That has gone through and passed the House floor. So that will go to the Senate with crossover. And then
Do you want to bring us, remind us on what Bill 1266 does? What the
yeah,
outcome
it
is?
essentially allows expired Renaissance zones to go through the process again for reinstatement. They would have to go back to all the political subs again with their development agreement, just like you would the renewal process. So it's very similar. It just wasn't allowed in state law that expired zones could come back. So we needed to have a process outlined. Watford City, Carrington. There's a few, and then there's probably a couple others now that since they've heard about the bill that let their zones expire. Some let their zones expire because they don't have people to run them or their auditor's office is doing it. So
But that's really the only change that that bill would enact.
Yes.
To allow expired zones to come back in.
yep, it's pretty simple. It passed the House floor, with flying colors, and I don't expect any real changes on the Senate side of that unless something weird
Any
happens.
opposition that you've heard of locally or otherwise?
To 1266, no. It's pretty straightforward. It doesn't take any of the other political subs out. So I think that was the big thing, was making sure you're going back to all the political subs.
Okay.
The other one is Senate Bill 2391. That is another Renaissance Zone bill. That's not being pushed by the city of Bismarck. There's other communities that are looking for changes to the program. I expect that we'll probably, it did pass out of committee and it did pass the Senate floor. I expect the House side will be a little bit different. There'll probably be a little bit more discussion on that bill. And then anything that happens in that 2391 bill, there's changes to the program's exemption periods and investment levels potentially. You could add a secondary island, which we don't have a first island, so that's not really an issue for us. You could do a secondary project after 30 years. Don't really hear a lot of people clamoring for that in our community, but Minot, Grand Forks, and others had some either natural disasters or something like that, where they had someone who'd done a project and then it burned down or flooded out, and so they'd like to put something new there. I expect the House side will be a little more difficult on 2391. So those are probably the two that most, have to deal with the parking authority. The one other one that the city of Bismarck is supporting is to clean up some legislative language on the street utility fee. We had, myself and many other people were on the special assessment task force. But we did run into an issue where we're trying to convert special assessments into a street utility fee. Parks and schools were not able to use their unlimited levy authority to pay that fee. So this bill would address that. It did pass out of committee and on the floor. I don't expect any real issues with that. Just allows parks and schools to use their levy authority as they would with a special assessment for the street utility fee. So,
Any questions?
do you have any
Kate?
questions?
Any updates on, we've got some new tenants or some new old businesses moving into the downtown area? KLJ?
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Old businesses.
Oh,
Okay.
They've been around for a while.
Sure, yeah. KLJ is going to be awesome. We did meet with them. Yep, KLJ is taking a lot of space in the Grand Pacific Center, aka the Wells Fargo building. Sorry, Taylor Daniel. I know he wants me to call it the Grand Pacific Center.
It's the Norwest Bank.
Yeah, it depends on how old you are. I haven't said Kirkwood Motor Inn yet when I talk about Dakota, or Bismarck Conference Center. So that's going to be great. I think they're going to be having around 100 or so employees. They won't have anyone in their north location anymore. They don't own that building, they lease it. So they'll be doing a build out, but it probably won't be till the end of this year that they'll have everybody down there. So that'll be a good one. We have had our residents now start moving into Trestle. They're doing very well with their lease up. I don't know if I can say any numbers. Jake, close your ears. Maybe like 80% leased up on the residential side, which is great. And then we toured the Grove, and we'll be going through Renaissance Lofts, which are the two that are north of the post office. And I think those are going really well. Also, probably like May-ish, they'll have people start moving in. on the Grove side. So
Okay.
it's going well.
Impact on our parking facilities from all of this?
The Grove and Renaissance Lofts are pretty much all on-site parking or, street parking, and they're a little bit out of the way. I think with Trestle, they're going to be fine. Some people are opting not to take spaces. They might work at the hospitals and walk. And some people might take, 2 or something. So I think they'll, for the most part, probably be okay. I know Jake's right there. He's just, he's part of that project. So kind of talking about someone who's in the room. But I don't know, Jake, if you have anything to add on the parking side, what you've seen, but.
You're doing great, Kate.
Awesome.
You're doing
Thank
great.
you. Thank you. No, I think it's been really good. We've seen a lot of medical folks at Trestle and some others. And then, Grove is just a little bit out of the way. So it's in a good way if you want something a little bit more quiet. So kind of something for everybody.
Trestle, we've provided for with 30 spaces?
Mr. Chairman, that number actually increased to 56, which we were able to accommodate between Galleria and Parkade. We were able to get enough spots,
How about 100 KLJ employees? Where are they going to park?
I think they've actually worked with Jeremy too, but they've got some spaces in the on-site ramp at the Grand Pacific Center. And then I think they have some in the 3rd Street ramp as well. They'll be splitting some.
Okay.
They do have some larger trailers and stuff that they were looking for parking for, so we might try and help them find some space. They also have some shop condos where their trailers can go. But I think the residential lease up will go really fast. I would expect Trestle to be leased up, within a month or so completely on the residential side. And I think the other ones will go quite quickly also.
Good. So all positive.
One other
Go ahead.
interesting thing, Mr. Chairman, is there has been some movement on the budget which is in kind of a little further away from some of the parking, probably the 3rd Street structure, I guess, is the closest. But, should that site redevelop, we'll, kind of keep you posted on what the parking needs might be up there.
I'm told it's under contract already, so.
I think closing at the end of March, but
Okay.
it'll be an interesting one. So,
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
For the update. Anyone have anything further? Jeremy, do you have something?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman and Park Authority Board, just to give you some numbers on the KLJ deal as part of their tenancy of moving into the Grand Pacific Center, they did request they are in need of additional parking beyond what Grand Pacific Center had available, and so we were able to accommodate for them at 3rd Street ramp. We have enough absorption there where they need 70 parking spaces, so that's going to be a huge boon to that downtown parking ramp, and we have enough capacity to be able to support that.
It's all good?
Yep.
All right, anything else for the good of the order? Anybody? Daniel? Just sitting there smiling? Do you have anything you want? Just on coffee break or?
Yeah, I mean, I can just add a minor administrative thing if you'd like to know. So we're working on, working with Jeremy and his team on integrating the parking authority into the city's website a little bit better. I think it was brought to our attention that it's not entirely clear on the city's website how the relationship is with the parking authority. So we have an agenda center on the city's website that has all the boards, and maybe you've seen it, and agendas and minutes are all available there. So we're working on getting parking authority items into that. Well, it'll still be available on the same place it is now on the parking authority website, but also be in the city site. So you can look for that in the future. But it's a minor thing, but.
Thank you. Any questions of Daniel? No? All right, if there's no further business, and I'm not hearing any, and if there's no objection, we stand adjourned until March 9th. Thanks, everybody.